Welcome to the Open Shop Pink Couch. We have a very special guest today and a very special topic. We're talking about Swoop, and the question is, friend or foe to the travel industry? Mm-hmm. I'm challenging you there, and
right up front.
Right up front, before we even try and juggle your cute little piggies. Mm-hmm. It is the year of the pig.
No, happy year of the pig. Fancy fat chai.
Yes.
Fancy fat chai.
What he said. But also, I think it's very important to say that Swoop stole our branding, and we're here in a bit of a branding challenge. Who can be more pink?
I'm lawyered up. I'm ready to go.
Really?
So, yeah.
How much pink are you wearing?
I think you're far more pink than I am,
yeah.
so yeah.
All right, so now to the hard question.
Sure.
Friend or foe?
Friend, I think. But I'll let your viewers determine if it's friend or foe. I think that from my perspective, we're an enabler. We just get people from A to B. If we're part of someone's travel journey or not, that's really down, I suppose, to the agent. If we're able to get someone affordably to their destination, and then the agent can actually wrap that around an experience for the customer, I think we're friend. Foe, I would probably say we're not on everything at the moment in terms of what agents need or require. So GDS, do we pay commissions, all of this type of stuff? No, we don't. So the support is not there at the moment. It's really just a consumer booking engine. So I think that's where the frustration is at the moment.
Absolutely. There were other carriers who have launched without the agent and quickly realized that it's hard to make it without that distribution channel, even if there is a cost. So how are you doing?
I think it's a tale of how should I say, two parts of the year. I mean, Canada during and all your viewers will know this. Canada during the summer, you can fly a brick and make money. In the winter, it's always a difficult challenge because the whole dynamic completely changes. The focus is on international. The focus is typically going south to warmer climes, and the requirements around that are different. So I think the winter for us has certainly been a learning curve in terms of what can we do better for next year. I think we've really got a stable and good product for the summer. Going into winter, and particularly winter 2019, I think we're probably going to do some things differently.
And when you say do some things differently, are you able to give us some details on that?
I wish I could, my grand masterful plan, but I know that Rouge is watching. From my perspective, it's really looking at how we can broaden our distribution channels and being able to build pressure in our distribution so we can support our routes, the routes that we're flying, and also our expansion. I mean, we're adding another 3 aircraft just in the winter period in 2019, so quarter 4. And just to fill those planes, we obviously need to be a little bit more flexible.
Now, you're basically saying what a lot of, people who have attempted to launch something new in Canada discovered. It's a tough market.
It is a very tough market, yeah.
Yeah. It's a very difficult market. We're sparsely populated.
Yes.
We're far apart.
Yes.
It's a challenge.
It is.
And you're seeing that now.
Absolutely. I mean, I always thought Canada was much like Australia, but actually Australia is a bit different in itself because the vast population is on the eastern seaboard, and Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne is about 80% of the population. So there is some concentration. Canada, no, there's not. You obviously have a big population base in Ontario, but then everything is sparse out from there. So that's a difficult one to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your honesty, actually, because I think you have to deal with the problem that you're facing in order to then be successful. Otherwise, But what I wanted to ask you is about Hamilton.
Yes.
Obviously, a much more cost-efficient airport to be in than YYZ. Are you looking at YYZ?
No. There seems to be always a rumor every time I go through Toronto Lester Pearce, and people say, "Are you coming to?" And we're not. So I can say that now on your show. No, we're not. I mean, Hamilton works for us, and I don't know if we launched London last week as well. London, Ontario.
Absolutely, we ran that.
So I think that's even more proof in the pudding in terms of our focus on Southern Ontario and in secondary airports. They work for us. They're flexible. They're very, very efficient and effective, and it ticks all the boxes for us. Whereas Toronto Airport for us is not really where we want to be, and it's the home of not the home of WestJet, but obviously a big base for WestJet.
Sure.
So there's really no need piling ourselves on top of WestJet as well.
Yeah, you've got a captive audience right now. Travel agents are listening to you. What sort of message? I mean, you talked about being an enabler, really, for them to sell. But here we are in the dead of winter. Certainly in Toronto, it's cold.
It is.
What message do you want to give them so that they consider the product?
Yeah, I think for me, really it's about, I would probably say, where agents make their money these days, and also where I think they get the best response back from their customers, is obviously the destination. Getting from A to B isn't necessarily the biggest piece of the jigsaw. As long as it's convenient and cost effective, it's really the destination people, are talking about, want to go and see, want to go and explore. And I implore agents, that's where they need to focus on. If we can be somehow part of that journey in terms of getting them from to their destination, that's fantastic. We're going to look at ways of being able to facilitate that. But what we want to be able to do is just be that enabler for the agent to get their customers to the destination, and then the agent can really make the difference in terms of the experience.
When we talk about the winter, obviously that's what makes the money for most of the operators, ITC, et cetera. If you were to look at more southern destinations and carrying that traffic, how would you then create associations with all of the hotel chains?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. For us, what we're focused on is the big destinations like the Orlandos in Florida and so forth, because there's lots of content. So you don't really need a specific association with a particular hotelier or something. We just want to be able to give choice to our customers. And when they buy a ticket, they're able to go to a destination and then have choice. If you go to some of these more marginal destinations, you've got a problem, because that's typically tied up in some form of packaging with travel, with the flight that we don't obviously offer.
Yeah, and you're not looking at doing that.
I won't say no. We won't say no forever. But it's certainly something that we'll look at. I mean, again, we were talking before. The Canadian market's quite a specific market. Canadians love their Saturday to Saturday package holidays. I can't blame them now that I've gone through some cold winter weather here in Toronto. But from that perspective, I think that we should be looking at that, because it's still a large part to play in how Canadians travel.
And the USP for the consumer is?
For us, we're pink.
What more do you need?
What do you need? For the USB is really, for us, it is what it is. You get what you pay for. It gets you from A to B safely. It gets you to A to B in a very efficient way, and that's really the hook. And I think what we sort of see is, when you travel on our aircraft, most of the people who are on our aircraft are people who've never flown before, which always makes me gobsmacked. Being an established economy like Canada, people who used to go south of the border to catch a cheap flight, go over to Bellingham or something like that. And people who may have been able to travel maybe once a year can now travel twice a year. And I saw that on Puerto Vallarta the other day when I was on our inaugural flight. The really interesting thing was just the stories of people who was like, thank you very much, we wouldn't have been able to make this trip if it wasn't for Swoop. So to me, it verifies that there's a market there. We're not stealing market share off other airlines or anything like that. We're creating or stimulating demand, and that's really key for the model to work.
Now, for next year, you're saying you're looking at a few other options.
Yep.
I'm putting you on the spot now
to say... Well, this year, it's coming as winter 2019, so it's this year, absolutely.
I'm putting you on the spot to say that you're going to agree to come here and give us the first scoop on Swoop.
Absolutely.
Seeing that you've taken our branding over.
Stolen branding. You've got to say that publicly. We've stolen branding. So
I think that we're owed that first scoop.
Absolutely, and the couch is very comfortable, so why would I say no?
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.